Good morning, everyone. All right, let's get this show on the road. This week in pull requests, we've got a couple of new ones. It looks like there was one for improving CRC calculations when you've just got a buffer of zeros. That's O of 1, which is fantastic. And then also maybe a slightly more interesting one here for zero copy buffer lists. And it looks like both Kifu and Matt have been reviewing that. I'm hopeful that we can get some micro benchmarks to actually see if this is actually helping or not. The splice makes me a little bit nervous, but we'll see. There were a couple of different things that merged. We are now favoring metadata in BlueStore cache more than we previously had, which I think is probably a good thing. I think Somnath tested that and didn't see a whole lot of improvement, but anyway, about it is probably good to be favoring metadata for cache in general anyway. There was a couple of other general BlueStore improvements. More work towards getting different things into mempools, which should hopefully let us track memory usage a little bit better and eventually improve the user experience regarding trying to set all of these different kinds of things. There were a couple other things here which I haven't looked at too closely. This callback one from Kifu, I don't actually know anything about that. And then Adam's pull request to remove the crush lock got merged. There's also this pull request for from Voidbag, RTC programming model, and I think Sage has been doing some pretty in-depth review and testing on that. So hopefully we'll see something out of that soon. Otherwise, a lot of other stuff that we don't have a whole lot of movement on. Yeah, I'm hoping that we'll see more on Zetascale soon. And also this slab containers one. That would be good to see. Okay. Otherwise, for this week, probably the only thing I have to talk about is there's a pull request for using RocksDB column families, and I went through and basically just fixed that up to work with master, and then took a stab at making the column families in BlueStore, and it more or less works. There are some bugs. Stupid allocator is for some reason for some reason, stuff is ending up in the B tree that shouldn't be, and commit start is asserting. I don't understand why that's the case. I've kind of stared at the code a couple of times and don't see how that would be allowed, but clearly there's something going on, so I'll just have to stare at it more. The bitmap allocator actually seems to work fine for writes, but we do end up in a situation when doing reads where there is a CRC checksum failures. So I don't know if those two things are related or not. Maybe they are, but there's still some work there to get this working consistently. The good news, though, is that while it does work, we can get some stats now out of the stuff that's getting populated in RocksDB, specifically regarding compaction. And at least when we are separating things out into column families, what we're seeing is that about 1/3 of the compaction traffic is due to OMAP, and about 2/3 is due to metadata, object metadata specifically. One of the things we were kind of looking for in there is how much write-ahead log traffic was compaction. Write-ahead log compaction traffic was hurting us. We were afraid that we were leaking a lot of stuff into level 0 and potentially level 1 that didn't need to be there. And at least when column families are enabled, it doesn't appear that that's the case. Somnath has, I think, seen some evidence that maybe in the current stock code we are leaking a lot of write-ahead log keys that shouldn't be making it into level 0. So that's something that we probably need to figure out. But the other good news is that when column families are enabled, it looks like maybe we are in general seeing write-amp reduction in RocksDB. Performance in general with like small random writes appears to be higher while the tests are able to run. So in general, we have more work to do in this area, but it seems like it could be an important win for Bluestore until we can get Zetascale or something else working that doesn't have the same kind of write-amp issues that we're seeing with RocksDB. So any questions on any of that? All right, well, that is all I have for this week. It doesn't look like that we have Ben England here this week. I think he was interested in talking about some of the scale testing they're doing. Does anyone else have anything that they would like to talk about this week? Okay, Matt asked next week about adding to the agenda RCU work by Dan. I think next week might be taken up by some guys that I think is from Intel maybe that have been doing some Bluestore testing, and they asked if they could present next week, but I'll see how long their slots can go. If not next week, we can certainly talk about the week after. That's definitely something that I'd love to hear how it's going. So, all right. Well, I think short meeting this week then. Have a good week, guys, and we will reconvene next week.